Hey, Dwight.
Hey Marshall, how you Mark, sorry, how you doing?
It's all right. I'm fine. Are we live?
Yep, we are live. Everyone, well, we have 100, just over 100 people on.
Okay. Let me just share my screen.
We're over on YouTube right now. I'm gonna put that in the chat for you.
Okay. Just move this across. Um, so welcome everybody.
Just over
Welcome.
100 people on.
Okay. Let me just share my screen. Hang on a second. I gotta mute this. There you go. All right. So welcome to the last of the 4-day live trade execution webinar series, subtitled How to Capitalize on Monster Moves in the Markets. I've had an unbelievable week. I did exactly what I said. I capitalize on monster moves in the markets. My name is Mark Shawson, the pattern trader. Is there anybody in today's webinar in my morning boiler room session? Is there anybody on this webinar that's in my morning session? So Peter says yes. Sid says yes. Dean. So you guys can all attest. Alexander. So Dusan. So these guys are all in my morning session. So what did I say this morning, guys? Sell the crap out of the NASDAQ, right? On the get-go. I just sold right out of the gate. So I know there's a lot of misrepresentation, a lot of misinformation on these kind of things. People say they do all kinds of things. They show accounts and their demos and their nonsense. Well, and then people accuse me of being a scammer, and it's hard to see how I can be a scammer when I call these markets and then people are on live. And so this isn't after the fact. I'm not retrofitting things. And so all this week I've been talking about my philosophy on how to capitalize on the markets, just using price information, just using price action patterns, price action, what we call the key reversals, the inside bars. I've handed out the booklets on my strategy. Some of you bought the book yesterday, which highlights my strategy. And every day I've kind of been going in and reinforcing, how I use this, like a weapon of mass destruction. So John says, no fluff here, Mark's the real deal. So John's been a long time member, so thank you for that. Pat says, this is the first time. Are the past 3 sessions recorded? I'm sure they are. You can always message our support team if you want a recording at thepatterntrader.com. So there you go. So I advocate kind of a set and forget approach, which you basically can just put a buy stop or a sell stop. Wait for the market. Today I was so active, I didn't even have a chance to take a shower. I did 3 pick and rolls in the options markets on this NASDAQ where I made 300% each time I got in. And it all starts with a central premise. So yesterday I kind of talked about the NASDAQ. So all this week I've been taking you through my trades. So on Monday, I opened with these calls in JD. I bought for $1 and blew out for 4. There's the JD calls. So I bought for $1.25, blew out for 4, made 400% on that. Bought for $1.160, so I made about 200 grand in that play. Then I was involved in BABA. I had 3,000 shares in BABA at around the 132 area. Blew them out around the mid 136. Made about 50 grand, in accumulation of about, you can see I had 7,500, and I was up $4, 347% on my money there. So, and these are my personal trading records. This is not a demo account. I assure you, these are as real as a heart attack. I don't know that any demo account can simulate having puts in the QQQ, having calls in the Dow, and having a stock in BABA. So this is my real account. I put real money. You can see I put $1 million into this trade on BABA, and I made about $4 on $5 on 7,500 shares. Made about 40 grand on that play. And then today, I just freaking unloaded on these Qs. So these are the QQQs, right? So this is the QQQs are an ETF that is a proxy for the NASDAQ. So if you want to, buy a basket of stocks, you don't want to buy individual stocks like Microsoft and Apple, you buy the QQQs. So I buy, so if I think Qs are going up, I'll buy a call, which is a very leveraged bet on the upside. In this case, I was buying these put options. A put is a leveraged bet that a market is going to decline. And as you can see, I had 315 of these and at a cost. So I put $50,000, and that could have gone all bye-bye. All the market had to do was go up, and you can see these expire tomorrow. So I had to be right now. So, I put my money where my mouth is, put 50 grand on the line, and you can see I was up 48,000, but this is not where this ended. This was very early this morning. The Qs continue to go down. So what I do is I started out this morning buying the 385 puts. Then it went down, I make, whatever, 100 grand on that, get out, wait for it to rally. I got back in on the 382s, made another 300% on that. And then it rallied, got out, then it rallied, then I bought the 380. So I keep laddering. I keep taking the money off the table as these things make a flush. And, there's a whole kind of thing in playing options. So you can see I also shorted Coinbase, ticker symbol COIN. So Coinbase announced some kind of merger yesterday. They were going to merge with some derivatives firm, and the stock was up $6 in the aftermarket. And to me, that was just a bullshit move, because the stock, the patterns, all, the price action, everything is just so bearish. So sometimes we get these things where if the market goes higher, you can sell into a higher opening, and the expectation is going to go lower. And I made about $10 on this play. I shorted it at 240, and I got out around 232. So I made about $8 on this play. And, it's like, I think trading at 237 now, it's even lower. So I did so much today. I was short Roblox. I was short the Qs. I was short also the Dow. This was earlier in the day. This was at a loss. This eventually went to about a $40,000 gain as the Dow ended up down about 170 on the day. For most of the day, it was higher, and then it ended up down. So it's my expectation these markets are just going to get decimated. So every day now, I'm just going to sell into these things. So this is just, I think I had 5 pages that look like this today, where you can see I sold short Coinbase at 240.79, almost 241, and I got out at 232. So I made about $9 on that trade. I bought these triple Qs, 150 of the 185s at 113, and banged out of these things at $3. So I made about 300% on a bunch of these plays. And then you can see that, when I got out of the 385s, I got into the 382s, and I think I made 400 grand today. So I don't really, look at how much money I make or lose. I know that sounds crazy. I kind of just look at the trades and say, okay, is this trade working out? Do I need to just stay in this trade? Do I need to get out of this trade? If it's a losing trade, I just get out. I don't really look at the money. I try and look at the market and try and see the trade in the most purest form. So I'm pretty sure I made over 400 grand today. I did just a ton. So I did it in 2 accounts. You can see I had, these 300 of the Dows. I had the QQQs. I had 200 of these, and this is $40,000 when you buy these things. So I was buying them at 2 and blowing them out at 6. It was just a monster day. You can see I also came in. I bought the puts in Roblox on the close last night. The $89 puts. Roblox closed around $89, and today Roblox was down about $7. So I paid about $1.80 I put about $18,000 into this thing, and they went to about $6. So I made about 3 times my money on these Roblox things, and then I bounced out of these Uber calls, and it was just a pretty robust day. And then in addition to doing the calls and the put options in the stock market, I also did I sold. So the U.S. cash is the NASDAQ. I sold this in. So I told you guys last night, I thought this was a BS move in the NASDAQ. The guys in the boiler room, this morning, they will tell you. So it's like, I'm not just inventing this stuff now. This was my expectation coming in. I didn't even take a shower today. I just knew this was going to happen. And certain days, I just roll up my sleeves and get to work. And, this was one of those days where, long the pound New Zealand, it came off, started coming back. I still think pound New Zealand is a giant buying opportunity here. I actually bought more into the lows and other accounts. But you can see I just started selling, and I probably made, 150 grand just in the spot market, in the stock market. So, why did I do this? So it all starts with a premise, right? I didn't just pick this out of clean blue air. Yesterday, I told you, I thought that this NASDAQ, this rally since Monday is a bullshit rally. And, I put my money where, my mouth is. So first off, if we take a long view of the triple Qs, again, this is an ETF of the NASDAQ. I've been pointing out this trend line that, this thing has been really holding to for, the past year and a half. And you can see on Monday, we came right down here and then we bounced. And every time we bounce, we've made a new high, but this time I think is going to do that. So the reason I think that is because there's a pattern that tells me that. So again, I look at the patterns. Pattern precedes trajectory. And so this is the pattern in the market, in my opinion. Made a new high, backed off, made another high. And so when we look at this thing, you can see now this is a M top, a double top, where there's really two peaks right at the same area. And this, precedes a change in direction. And so now I know, whereas most people have been conditioned to buy the dips for the next 6 months, I'm going to be selling the rallies. So, again, people saying, do I show options on the elite? Sometimes I do. I try not to, because it's a very risky thing. I've got a public responsibility. I don't want people losing all of their money, because you can very easily lose all of your money in options. I have many times. And that's why, I look for plays where I can make 500%, pay for all the times that I lose 50% or 100%. So, but to me, it doesn't matter what instrument you use. I did the spot, cash market. I did options. I shorted stocks. I did everything. It's starts with a central premise that if you believe something's going down, then pick your poison. Whatever instrument you choose to use, the idea is to first understand, what is the market telling you? And, this is, was a BS rally, when we rallied, all this week. So, and I was talking about, so when it gets very whippy like this, every day is the opposite of the other. It forces you to re-challenge your assumptions every day. I'm bullish one day, I'm bearish the other day, and so it really, when you get into giant things like this, it can really rattle you, right? So if you don't know what you're doing, you can get just wiped out, because these moves are big. And so in order to try and understand this, so, this looks pretty arbitrary. It's kind of going back and forth, and it looks like a coin flip, as to whether it could go up or down. Well, to me, it's not a coin flip, because buried in all of this, so this looks like arbitrary random price information. But to me, I think I showed you guys that this is a head and shoulders buried in all of this price information. And all you did is come here, you rallied to the breakout area, and now you're going back down in a big way. I think this move is going to rattle people's teeth. People have no conception They've been so programmed to this market going up, they have no conception. To me, you know, the market takes a staircase up and an elevator down. It'll come apart in, you know, what took you, you know, a year and a half to make money. This thing will take back in 3 weeks. And, you know, bear markets are, and people just are not, oh no. Shoot. Just give me a minute. I think my mouse just ran out of gas here. Sorry. So for some reason, my mouse has turned into a pencil. So I don't know if there's, anyhow, so this is, you know, kind of the daily view of the QQQs, and it's, you know, been a mixed bag here. But I do think that, you know, this is going to resolve itself to the downside. And the one thing, you know, again, on Monday, I said, this is the real instrument that you should keep your eye on, because you're going to get so many fake outs and what have you. And I think that this is the ETF. This is called the IGV ETF. And this is exclusively software and technology. And so technologies, you know, 50% of the NASDAQ and a huge component of the S&P. And so technology really runs these indexes. And so the indexes have been going up because Apple and Microsoft have been taking them higher. And now it looks like everything is going to roll over. So there are two monster bearish price patterns. So despite the fact that, you know, we rallied all this week, you know, I said that this is a sell. And what, you know, informed me this was a sell is, again, this pattern here, where it looks just like the head and shoulders we saw in the Qs. And so this is a head and shoulders with a down sloping neckline. You can see that instead of being horizontal, this thing kind of slopes downward. And so this implies that not only is this bearish, but this is going to go very, very quickly. And so you actually have the intersection of two bear price patterns. You have the head and shoulders, and then you also have this pattern called the ascending broadening triangle. Gold has kind of been trading within this thing, where you can see an ascending broadening triangle is defined as a pattern that, you know, the prices go higher through the pattern. It starts out narrow and then widens or broadens at the top. Now, this is typically a reversal pattern. So now you're at the intersection where you have the neckline and the lower boundary of this thing right here. So this was the intersect right there. And so the penetration below the lower support line, as well as this neckline, to me is confirmation. So sometimes we see these patterns. You can see there was kind of a head and shoulders here, but it never broke the neckline. You can see it just came short of this neckline. Sometimes you get a fake out where it comes down here and then goes back up. But in this case, we've taken out the neckline, we've taken out the lower. And so to my mind, this is game on. And, you know, people say, well, if you get in a trade, where do you put your take profit? You know, what I understand about these ascending broadening thing, it's very simple. These things retreat to where they came from, the beginning of the pattern right here. So I think this is where this is going. 250, 260, what have you. So we're going down another 100 points here, probably another 20, 30%. So you can just sell short the IGV here, and 6 months later, look to buy it back there. And I think this is where things are going to go. And they could go there very, very quickly. So Steve says, was sending out a high five this morning when, morning Mark, when I knew you had the puts on the QQQ and it was going down. Yeah, so from the get-go. So, I basically looked at I had a feeling yesterday. I said yesterday that I didn't think that. So you could see that this is the IGV. I was looking at the Qs. We didn't even make a new high today. So you can see that we had this little double top area where you open. So this little hash mark is where you open today, right at the high. And then I was looking to see if we would exceed the high. I was still prepared to, I was just selling into the higher opening. I said at the boiler room, I said, just as this thing opens, sell into it. And you can see from the get-go, this thing. So you can see there's a miniature double top right here in these two prices. And so, now we're just, going to go down. We've got to clear through Monday's lows, but so into tomorrow's price action, if it goes higher, just sell into that. Blindly just sell into it. And so I look at these patterns and price action. You've seen me, I bought JD this week. I bought BABA, and then I sold the NASDAQ. And none of it, I knew anything about the companies. I don't look at what the Fed's saying. I don't look at anything except exactly what I'm showing you here. It's the IGV, winner, IGV. So this is the ETF that I was talking about. So that is a software and technology ETF. And I think that is going to be representative. It's going to be a leading indicator. So it's ahead of where the NASDAQ is. So the IGV is already down here when the NASDAQ is a little bit behind. But, it's previews of coming attractions. You're welcome. HS, Mark is not for kids games, shoots and ladders. So yes, you kind of have to know what you're doing. I've been doing this a while, and I'm pretty good at what I do, if I say so myself. I probably made 600 grand since we met each other on the webinar on Monday, easily, if not more. And I shit you not. We talked about the pound New Zealand, came off a little bit today. It's at a natural area. We talked about it yesterday, where pound New Zealand came off. It's got a bit of a key reversal, probably end up lower. I still think it's a buy. It hasn't really changed anything for me. It was a natural area. So you can see that it's very possible that we get a retreat down to the support line, which could be the lower 198. So the more this thing goes lower, the more I'm just going to keep buying into that. So Dick says, Mark is way better and pretty good. Thanks for that, Dick. Dick's been a long-term member. So I really appreciate your endorsement because, I know if I saw this, I'd go, feel, well, this guy's Fulham's every day we see a winner and this and that. It's not always a winner, but this week it just happens to be, pretty fertile. And let's see, Joe says, I bought February QQQ puts and made a ton. Thanks for the call yesterday. You're welcome, Joe. So I tend to be pretty short term. So you can see all of these options for me expire tomorrow. So my bet, I kind of knew that it was a pretty immediate time frame. The further out you go, you just pay more, but you obviously give yourself more time. So it's probably smart to do, both. So Dale says, regarding risk and whatever, Dale, it's interesting. I kind of look at the market and then, to me, I was either going to be right or wrong very, very quickly. I kind of said, in today's session, in the boiler room, this morning session, I said, you could probably just sell right into today's opening. I didn't expect. So you can see the opening is marked by this little slash mark there. So you can see this is where it closed. And so it opened slightly higher. And so, I just felt like, okay, I'm just going to sell into it. So my area of risk was very small. So I kind of said, okay, this may go a little higher than yesterday. I was even prepared for it to, go a little bit higher. So, I would have, given it to, there or what have you. So if I started shorting here, right into the opening, I would have given it a very small risk for a very big upside. And so when I see that the market gets into pockets, now the risk is bigger. If you sell short here, it's very possible you get a big rally and it goes up there before it goes down there. And now, it's a little bit wider. The parameters are wider. But right in here, I kind of knew that I was going to sell it right there. I sold Roblox right here yesterday, and it went down just like this. So when I see areas where, the risk is very small in my mind, then I kind of back up the thing. I kind of do big positions. It looks like I'm taking a lot of risk, but now my expectation, it better work out or I'm out. And so it looks pretty reckless what I did today. You can see all of this crazy, activity. But to me, it all, started with a premise, of what I was expecting. And this to me was a very small area of risk. So my idea was if I shorted here, that, it wasn't going to go too much further. I just felt this whole thing was, a dead cat bounce. It was a false rally and it's going to come down just as fast. So I start off with a central premise that was all based on really the identification of patterns in, the daily here, the weekly, and a bunch of other things, the IGV. So all of these things come into my mind and all of these things corroborate. So I saw the IGV in a certain thing. I saw the double top on the weekly. I saw the head and shoulders. And so when it, gets here, I just, don't take a shower. I just started unloading from the get-go this morning. And, I will keep doing so. So tomorrow I expect the same deal. I, hope the market opens, higher, and I'll just sell right into that. So tomorrow we have a bunch of stocks, the financial stocks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, whatever, announce earnings before the market tomorrow. I actually just bought some JP Morgan for fun on the close, surmising that, the earnings are going to push it higher. You can see it, we looked at, and I don't think I've got a lot of risk. I took a relatively small position with all the money I have made today. I feel like I can take a shot. So the earnings are going to come out before the marketing, and expect that the financial stock should go higher based on higher interest rates, what have you. You can see that, you've got this, higher highs and higher lows. So I bought JP Morgan. So, I'm hoping that, these things all open higher. If they open $2-3 higher, I'll just unload my stock, make a quick push, and, and then, hope that it gives the Dow, a pop. And then I'll just sell into the Dow also. So today I bought these puts. I was losing all day until the end where they just sold the Dow off. And, I was saying yesterday, I think that we've got a trap in the Dow where you can see that all of these players that chase new highs now are stuck up there, and now as it starts going this way, you can imagine they'll be, trying to get out. So, right now, I see this head and shoulders here. And I see, this asymmetrical double top forming. Now we won't know, if that is a top until, it kind of comes and, forms down there. But, I kind of get in ahead. So I look at a combination of the pattern and the price action. So you can see we have a resistance here, but you have this very negative price action where as it made an all-time new high, it closed on the low. So, the news was Dow makes all-time new high today, but by the end of the day, the sellers were in control. Same thing today. We made a new high, close on the low. And so, what I will do is any strength tomorrow, I'm hoping these financial stocks open higher, drive the Dow higher. I will be selling into that. So you can see that we're kind of hugging this trend line now. And, we're probably going to get at least a retreat back to, this trend line, which is about 500 points lower. So this is how I use price action. It doesn't matter what the instrument is. I don't care if it's corn, crude oil, gold. This is how I trade. Did I trade the K-Web? No, I bailed out of my BABA yesterday because, look, I'm not Warren Buffett. I have a hard time diversifying and having all of these balls up in the air. And to me, my expectation was this market's going to come apart. And I have a very hard time keeping in my mind, being long one thing and then the other. And that actually cost me a lot of money because I got into Boeing call options yesterday perfectly. It sold off and I got in, it was up $8 today and I got out. And I was in Beyond Meat call options yesterday. And again, this feeling that the market's going to come down, cost me. And this thing, went much higher and I had a bunch of call options here. So between Boeing and this, I probably cost myself 200 grand because I didn't want to be long anything, feeling that, I want to put all of my energies into shorting the NASDAQ. And I don't want to have all of this other distraction. I can't, keep this in my mind. And, frankly, the K-Web, ended up pretty badly yesterday. So, people say, well, how do you, make a decision to get out and what have you? And it's like, you can see we made a new high and we closed closer to the low. So when I see those reversals like JD, if I'm long, I don't want to see those things. I don't want to see negative price action. So, I got out of JD. I made 200 grand the other day on this quick pop in here. And I was kind of pissed that I got out, but you can see that's why if you don't take these things, they come back in your face. So you can see that JD yesterday made a new high, but it closed on the low. So I look at how these things, close. And, it was, again, my expectation here that this thing was going to continue, but the price action, didn't support what I was looking at. And so I started getting very jittery that these markets could, sustain with the feeling that I had that the NASDAQ's going to start coming apart. So, today I just wanted to clean everything. I got out of Boeing, I got out of Beyond Meat, and those two things cost me a lot of money. But I just wanted to, clean the slate and put all of my focus into the NASDAQ. And, I was saying on the morning session in the boiler room that, you can short anything, that even if the NASDAQ, the indexes have been going up because Apple and Microsoft have been carrying it. But there's a whole subgroup of the NASDAQ, 50% of the NASDAQ's down 50% or more. So this was, I told you yesterday, this was my, thing to my elite group last night, sell Roku. And you can see it's making an all-time new low for this year. It's gone from 480 to 160. And this thing will probably be cut in half from here. So all of these things are, going down. Zoom, I was saying to our members to sell since 500. And now it's at 160. And you'll probably see this in half from here. So all of these things, you can just sell everything. And so I've been principally shorting these stocks because the indexes have been going up. Now the indexes are starting to roll. And so now I'm just saying, instead of finding individual stocks, I'm just shorting and, using high leverage to short the Q. So it really doesn't matter how you do it. As long as you see the picture, you get in sync with the picture. And to me, again, it's a four-step process where, I open up a chart. It doesn't matter what this chart is. It could be corn, could be soybeans, it could be crude oil, it could be, the euro versus the yen. I say to myself, okay, what is this? What is the phase or condition? So I think if I asked a 6-year-old what this thing is doing, it's clearly in a downtrend. So once I understand the trend, then I look for patterns to get me in sync, with the trend. So you get these, things where it goes, and then you get a double top here. This whole thing is really a double top. And so you sell it there. Then there's another double top. So I use a combination of the patterns and the price action. What I mean by price action is that once I see an area where I think there's a top, then I look for a price action that tells me where to join this trade. So you can see Zoom in this thing made a new high, close on the low. So the way I would just set up my trade here is simply put a sell stop there to get in and my stop loss there. So that's my risk and that's my reward. And so this is what I do. I use a 4-step, 5-step layered thing where I identify the trend, the pattern, then I call my insurance day bar, then I layer it with an execution plan that says put a sell stop here. And really it was the same thing here where you had this kind of descending wedge pattern. You can see it was just dribbling lower. And then yesterday, the market tells you. So, when it's up and down and sideways, you don't have to kind of, look at the charts every 15 minutes to see. The market will tell you yesterday it made a new high, close on the low. All you had to do was sneak your sell stop here, your stop loss there. This is your risk. And, this thing will be at $120 at some point. So we can look at every one of these NASDAQ stocks. It's, take out the trash time. So, when I saw Roblox yesterday, I bought put options to take advantage of what I thought was going to happen today. And I bought the 89 put options and, thing closed at 80. So I made about 300% on my 250% of my puts. And I went through this, yesterday, where to me, this is what tells you the story. So this is the cheat sheet for dummies, right? All of this is a distraction. All of this is a distraction. So I look to sell these rallies if I'm looking to go short. And so there was a little pocket here where you had this inside bar. You can see that yesterday's range from high to low sat within the high and lows. And really what it said to me was that you kind of had this little double top, just like the Qs. We had these two areas you couldn't get through. Today you opened right there. So you had these 3 tops, couldn't get through, bang. And so, sometimes I'll short the stock. In this case, I just bought the puts right on the close yesterday, surmising that, while it closed higher, that, it was going to go lower. Gold kind of looks like this today. I started shorting gold on the close because it kind of looks something like that. Although gold is, I'm perfectly, free to kind of think that gold could still move somewhat higher in here. So you can see, there's this area where we closed, there, we closed there. So you have these 2 closes on the high, but meantime, you couldn't make a new high. So I'm just shorting this, with a very tight stop loss. So again, this is in a pocket of, of an area where, I may not be right, but I'm not going to risk a whole lot. This could go slightly higher, and I'm not going to risk much more than up there. So this is kind of my risk in my mind. And, I think we could see, something like that. Although this is not the best example. Gold is still basically in a, very mixed up thing. So, but what I'm kind of pointing at it is these 2 areas where, and there's a double top there. So this is a very tricky area for gold. So I just shorted it right on the close, and I'm going to take a very small risk. It goes up, I'm just going to get out. So some trades are better than others. This was just, I felt in my mind, this feels like a bit of a Roblox trade. Metaverse train blown up. Yeah, so all these things are fads. The EV plays were fads. The SPACs were fads. The solar plays were fads. These are just chew up everybody's money. And the metaverse, whatever that is going to, just be a fad. And, yeah, I knew it, and you just sell into it. And so this is Facebook, now called Metaverse. And this thing has, looked very negative to me for a while. So sometimes it just takes a little longer to play out these patterns. So this is Facebook, now called Meta. And, that's a fad. So, but to me, this was this pattern, the double top, and then you kind of had this head and shoulders. So it looks like a man or woman's left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And so this whole thing is a bear pattern. And then, it just takes a little longer. Sometimes it takes a little longer for the market to play out. But while this looks all ambiguous, this is kind of telling me that this is going to go that way. And so now you can kind of use this little, double top area, and you can, get short here, just put your risk there. So that's your risk. And that's, I think, going to be a bigger reward. So I can look at chart after chart after chart, and I look at everything the same way. I don't even have to look what the name is. I just look at the patterns in the price action. Even in the more intermediate stage, you have the head and shoulders right here. So the market speaks to you. Here's a double top and a head and shoulders right here. And then guess what happened? So there's, you have head and shoulders here, head and shoulders here, and a head and shoulders here. I don't think that this thing, there's much ambiguity about that. This thing's going down. Michael says, is it true to assume you make more in shorting stocks than going long? It depends. I mean, for the last 18 months, you made a fortune going long. So, but that was then, and this is now. And so I love to short because most people don't. And to me, gravity works, right? Things come down very, very quickly, right? It's just painstaking to go up. And then, it just, comes down very, very quickly. So, but, it's horses for courses. It's like, I'll buy a stock that's going up. I bought JD and made 400% the other day, and I'll sell something that's going down. I'm agnostic. I just am surrendering to the will of the market. I'm not trying to impose what I want to do. I'm just looking at things, and, if it says to do something, then I do it. And if I'm wrong, I get out. Tim says, valuable education once again, got to go, but we'll catch the reply. Thanks for the book. I look forward to learning, and take care. So thanks, Tim. Rafael says, is Tesla going to sell off? Probably. So Tesla's in this kind of back and forth. And again, we kind of have to look to the price action. And what was really negative was last week, where it made a new high and they closed on the low. So I look at when something goes to a new area, what does it do? So it made a new high, and then what it do? The sellers were in control of the market at the end of the week. And so it looks like, you have this significant top. We won't really know until this is confirmed, but I have a sneaking suspicion that if the whole thing's coming down, I have a hard time thinking that Tesla is going to survive this. So really about 875 is the neckline where it will confirm, and then that whole thing will be a top. And then, this will be the mother of all sales. You've kind of been going along here, this very formidable uptrend line. So this is the area to watch out for, about 850. So it breaks that, you can see that. So, this is what I call a parabolic market, where it's like Bitcoin, it just goes, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. And usually these parabolic markets end in tiers. They end the way they start, like an Eiffel Tower pattern. So I think that this is starting to look pretty problematic. So this is a monthly chart, right? Each one of these bars represents 1 month in time. We're only in the middle of the month. So, it could close back up here, and it would change the whole look of this thing. But, I would watch out if you're long. I wouldn't want to be long anything right now in the NASDAQ. Maybe some, insurance stocks or real estate or what have you. But so this is this uptrend line, and if it kind of pulls back to this 900, watch out, because if it starts breaking this thing, you could get. I'm telling you, this. I think this market is going to surprise a lot of people. We had a huge washout in 2000. I think this could be worse. I think we've just been sweeping problems under the rug, doing this quantitative easing. And no, I really hate to think like that. I don't want to think like an armchair economist, but to me, I look what's going on in society and the ridiculous amount of money that people are spending on these NFTs and Bitcoin and all of this crap, the SPACs, like QuantumScape. SPAC is a special purpose acquisition company. So this is where all of the SPACs have looked like, 130 down to $20. So SPAC is kind of an end run on the traditional IPO process. You had hundreds of markets come public via SPACs last year, and they all look like this. So I just see there's been so much speculation. There's so much crap that's been built up in the system. And when it comes apart, I don't think people are going to be prepared for what's going to happen. So I think there's been this complacency. These indexes are going up every day. People check the paper. Hey, my portfolio must be okay. The indexes are fine. And there's just this complacency. And I think what's coming is going to rattle your teeth. But to me, that's, I'm looking forward to having more days like today where, somebody else's problems, when everybody's jumping out of windows, that's usually when I'm making the most amount of money. So this is what I do. I just look at the market and go where it, says I should go. If I need to go long in this period, I'll go long. If I need to go short here. So, and this is what I do. I send out these emails with my trades. They've been very, very successful. We have something called the Elite Program. You'll notice 4 days, everyone's expecting some kind of promotion, me to sell you something. So I made 400 grand today. Frankly, if you sign up, that's great. If you don't, I'm going to eat tomorrow. And, I like to believe that we give a lot of value. We have a review website. You can check that out. See what other people are saying. I know that there's a lot of BS. A lot of people come to us after they've been really scammed. And, that's really why I started this business. Because, I really kicked and screamed. My partner, Peter, begged me for 5 years to do this. I never really wanted to. And then I just saw how people were being scammed, and I just thought I could add some value. So here is our review website. You can go in there and check out what, other people have, have said about us, and, make up your own mind if you want to join our program. So this is the thing. I don't even know how you use this site. This is our, I guess this is our website. I don't even know my, so the pattern trader reviews, this should be the reviews. So yeah, here's all the reviews, and then you click here, see more reviews, and we've got hundreds of people. And so you can go and see what their experience was. If you're thinking of doing something with us, what I would really appreciate, I spend 4 days with you guys. I know, everybody asks you to, give a review, but I really would love if you could, say whether you had a bad experience, and either way, elaborate, if you didn't understand anything, if you thought it was all gobbledygook or Chinese, you can say you had a bad review. We post good, bad, or indifferent. We don't, this is on Trustpilot. So these reviews go to a website called Trustpilot. And so we cannot alter, by virtue of the name Trustpilot, we cannot alter what people say. So, and if you had a good experience, then you can just hit that. And then I'd like you to really say what you got out of it and whatever, so others can. And then, I can understand that. So I'll put that link in the chat box here. So I want to thank you guys for hanging around with me for 4 days. I hope you got something out of it. So Athemia says the hot room or the elite. So talk to our support team. I don't do sales. I do this. I kind of give you guys the information. I lead a horse to water. If you want to drink, whatever, we've got a lot of things. If you want to just start off small, we have things for that. If you want the elite is basically everything I do. So you get, I do a webinar tomorrow, every Friday, where I go through all of the markets in detail. So, this week I've touched on a few. What I do on Fridays, I spend about an hour or two going through all of the markets, taking questions. And so everybody kind of gets their questions answered. It's a little bit difficult here with, 500 people on a webinar to do that. But let's see, what's the main difference between the boiler and the elite groups? So I think the elite does include the boiler room, but I'm not even sure. So the boiler room is, I go into the markets in the morning. So in the morning, there are all these arbitrage opportunities. So this morning, where was it? Where's Coin? Coinbase, right here, Coin, was trading at 240. And I was telling our members in that, before the market even opens, to short Coinbase at 241, which I showed you, that's what I did. So then by the time the market opens, it's already happening. And, now that, this thing's $14 lower. So there's all kinds of arbitrage opportunities that happen in a pre-market. So we start about 45 minutes before the regular session starts. And that way, I can, if the market's going to open lower and there's something I want to buy like Boeing or BABA, I'm going to buy into that weakness. And conversely, if something I want to sell, if the market opens higher tomorrow, I hope like JP Morgan, I bought some JP Morgan. I'm hoping these financial stocks open higher, whatever. And the Dow has a brief flurry higher. And I will sell into that strength if, the pattern's telling me. So that's what the boiler room is. We spend 45 minutes actually before the regular session starts. And that way I can actually get a foothold in these things before it even starts. Ronnie says, all I can say is a great week. Thanks, Mark. You're welcome, Ronnie. Please, leave whatever review, please take some time and do that. I would appreciate it. Giuseppe says, you are the legend is the word I was searching for. So the minute you start using the word legend and genius, you stop growing. So to me, the market is fluid and dynamic. And, I go back and forth with a friend of mine. I always send him my trades and what have you. And he, is making so much money last year. And he goes, are you going to finally stop trading? And I go, why would I stop trading? I said, this is the greatest video game in the world. These kids are playing Roblox and shit. I think this is, what you see here, this thing going up and down and, the NASDAQ crashing and making all these money in options. It's like, what else am I going to do with myself? So I truly enjoy this stuff. Why would I stop? I don't need the money, but, I just enjoy the challenge. Every day you're confronted with certain assumptions and, are you right? Are you wrong? So it's like playing detective. Thomas says, thanks, Mark. Hope to work with you. You're the best. Make sure you get enough rest. Yeah, I'm kind of burned out, but, I live for days today, where you just get 900 points lower in the NASDAQ. And I just shorted it from the opening. So you can see it opened right at 388 here and closed 1,200 points lower. So if you work with some leverage, you can make some money on these kind of days. Oh yeah. Mr. Deutsch is a high school friend of mine, Thomas. Haven't spoken to him in a while, but we go way back. I need to give him a call. So, Mohammed, I don't really recommend brokers. Do your homework. Um, there's a broker called Interactive Brokers, and they have offices all over the world, and so they're very reputable. And what chart do you have on my? So this is my broker. This is a screen from my. These are kind of the tickers that I watch. I watch many others, but this is what I. This is basically what I watch. Richard, thank you for a clear explanation. Your teaching style is like you're talking direct to me alone. So thanks, Al. Demon says, thanks for sharing many truths, but the one is striking is the main pattern and the coil and the price action before trading. I know I have a long way to go, but I'm confident I've started from a solid foundation. So yeah, to me, it all starts with a premise, a central premise. You open up a chart, and what is the governing, trend for this thing? What is, is it, if something's going up, then, it's in an uptrend. If something's going down, it's in a downtrend. And you just want to get, in sequence with these trends. Sometimes it's very ambivalent, like the QQQs, where it's changing from one direction to the other. And, my whole thing is before something changes, it puts on a pattern. So people are caught, flat-footed, well, the market was up, the last 3 days, and now it's down. Why? It's like people are scratching their heads, and to me, it all started back here. So once I kind of understand here, this to me is just fake outs. I just sell into these. So it's Maurice says, what are your longer term thoughts on BABA? I don't know. The pattern still, seems to be there, but it's very hard to kind of think that this freaking NASDAQ is going to get rocked, but other things are going to go up, and that's entirely possible. Boeing is not the NASDAQ, and I got in beautifully in Boeing yesterday, right at the bottom, 217, and then I just legged out, and I could have made, I don't know, 150 grand on those calls. So I guess you can't dance at all the weddings. So to me, I'm still looking at this pattern, and until this thing comes out, it's still there. So BABA is kind of, dancing on this thing, and so we could come back to the breakout area. So very often, when you break out, you come back and you touch the breakout area. So if this thing were to come back to 126, I might take a nibble at this thing again on the long side. But right now, I'm just thinking of shorting the NASDAQ. I'm just thinking of blanket, I just use the Qs. That's why it's so simple. I don't have to think about a stock. I don't have to think about anything. I'm just going to short into the NASDAQ. I don't know how these things are going to unfold. I made some money thinking, so, this is a bit tricky, right? Because the governing pattern is very bearish. Now, patterns change, like pound New Zealand, where it went lower and then it eventually changed. So, all the way up here, this was the governing pattern, and this governed this whole direction. This told you where this was going to go. Now, I don't know if we're kind of putting on this bottom here. Time will tell, right? So if we, chop through here and, keep hanging out here, and then it starts coming through here. So I'm certainly keeping an eye on it. On any break, I might take a nibble into, into sell-offs. And that's the thing, if something sells off, I'll actually buy into that if I think that there's a bit of a bottom here. So I still feel like, BABA still wants to go over 140. So I would probably buy into a dip tomorrow just for fun. And again, you can get into these, it's all about risk reward. Like sometimes certain plays are better than others, and sometimes I'll just mess around. where, if something just sells off and I feel like, maybe I can get in here and risk $2 or $3 for a move like that, I'll do it. And if I lose $3, then, that's the way it goes. And it's the same thing with gold. I'm kind of playing around with a trade up here, but I'm perfectly prepared for it. And it's kind of stupid to do that because there are certain trades where, I know exactly what's going to happen. Now with BABA, to buy a dip here, and it's better to wait until the market. So instead of indiscriminately, so when I say I buy into weakness, I usually have a prior bar. So meaning that if I have a key reversal, around a double and the market opens lower, that's what I use that pre-market session for. Then, I will buy this thing into a lower opening using this reversal low. So this told me that there was some support down there. So if I buy it here, in my mind, this is my risk. And, usually this thing has to get back to unchanged. So I'll usually make some money. So there are certain times where I will buy something based on the prior action. But just to buy it, when it opens down here, there's nothing to tell you that there's, this is where there's an area of support. So it's better to kind of just wait for the market to let it do its thing. And then at the end of the day, we end up with something like this on Monday, I would buy it into a lower opening using that low, or you could put a buy stop here and let the market put you in. So let the market tell you when it's done going down, but if it, keeps going down, just let it fall. And then, if you get one of these, then you can take it back up. So, I kind of use the market to assess where my risk is. So Kayuta says, thank you. It's, I keep learning every day. I keep learning every day too. That's the point. And so that's the beauty of the market. It's fluid. It's always challenging your assumptions. It's always throwing you things. And I just look for pockets where I can understand something. So I rationalized this was a bottom. It may or may not be. Then we got into a very tight coil. And so, I just kind of bought this on the close, thinking that my risk was very small. And that, then the next day I just got a nice burst. I made about 50 grand, pocketed that. My whole preparation is to get short this NASDAQ. The IGV, the QQQs have been telling me that I just need to. So this is, where my focus is. So instead of thinking about stocks or all of that, I'm just now, going to use the triple Qs mainly. But I'll find, when Coinbase opened higher today, I shorted into it. I shorted Roblox. There's a million things to do, but it all starts with a central premise just like this. All right, guys, thank you a ton. Please leave a review. I'm not sure if I put this in the chat box. I may not have, so please leave a review. I would really appreciate it. It gives me feedback. Sometimes I don't know if I know a lot of this stuff resides in my brain. A lot of it's, I won't say it's not intuitive, but there is some level of intuition. Like, yesterday I was telling you, I think the NASDAQ's topped out. This morning, despite the fact that we opened higher, I was really excited about it opening higher. It just gave me a better chance to get a much smaller risk on. So, but it's not as difficult as it seems. So if you sign up for the elite, what I try and do is, show you why I'm doing something. So this was, my call on BABA. I was already long. So, I show you what's on the chart. So the whole idea is, a learning experience. Most people say, well, just give me the trade and, was this correct or was it, did you lose on it? It doesn't really matter whether I won or lost. It's the premise. And so the more you kind of see these charts, you see the explanation, you kind of see how it works, you can learn this stuff. And that's the whole idea of the pattern traders, to give you the independence to make your own decisions. I might get hit by a truck tomorrow. And if you have the knowledge, right? You can change your life. Wherever you are now, you can change your life. And it just takes, it just takes the knowledge, and risk is a function of knowledge. So people think that I'm doing all these reckless things, but I kind of think I know where the risk is, and if I'm wrong, I know where I'm going to get out. And so this is what I try and communicate in what we do at the Pattern Trader. So Paul says, would you never trade 5-minute charts? So basically, I would trade. I did trade when you're trading options, right? You have very short-term time frames to be right or wrong, and then the money, the market can take it away from you. So once I kind of understand something at a global view, and I'm very hesitant to say this because you can't really learn anything from a short-term chart. So yes, this is a double top, and this is exactly what transpired this morning. And this is what I was expecting. So you kind of had this one top yesterday. Then the market opened higher and formed the second top. So in my mind, this was, a top, and then I was looking at that head and shoulders way back then. So in my mind, I draw a picture. I try and visualize something, before it's going to happen. So it was a, great, one of the most profound things. So one time the Edmonton Oilers with the great Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player who, was playing, and one time the lights in the stadium went out. And the broadcaster said, well, this is a great opportunity for me to go down and interview Wayne Gretzky. So interview pulls up next to Wayne and sticks a mic in his face and says, Wayne, you're not the fastest guy out there. You're not the strongest guy out there. How are you able to do what you do, score all these goals? And he says, I don't skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going to be. And so, I try and I do this. I kind of put on a chart like this, and then I do visualization processes, where I see the head and shoulders back here. So that's the premise. And then I look for, so you can see this little double bottom gave you a nice, this is a counter trend rally, because to me, the main trend is lower. So, this is all kind of very nuanced, but so this is a 15-minute chart. And so to your point, yes, I do use these. So when I'm trading options, so the first thing I did was I started buying these 385 call put options. So when this thing was trading at, 388, I was buying these put options. That's where the, the strike price is. So I was buying these up here. So I was out of the money. Then once they go into the money and start making me some, the things that I paid $1 for here went to $3 there. I made 300% on that little push, and I know that, the markets, they give you a push, then they take a rest. And so when it came back here, then instead of going to 385s, I went into the 382s. And then I got another push and I made 300% there. And then I got out, it went higher. I got into the 380s there, and then it went down there and I made another 300%. So it was a ridiculous day where I bought these options at 1 and blew out at 3 different times. But, this is where, but it all starts with a much longer term picture. To my mind, if you're looking at 5-minute charts, you really can't understand what's going on. I mean, because on one hand, this is a double bottom. On the other hand, this is a double top. And so you're saying, well, which one is ruling this thing? And you can't understand that by looking at short-term charts. So I really discourage you from doing that. I probably shouldn't even talked about what I did today, because, I don't want you guys going and mixing it up in these options, because you can lose a lot of money. This was a particular day, a particular opportunity. I was waiting for this day. I was waiting for this day since Monday. I told people this morning. And so, I kind of felt, because of what occurred, weeks ago, led me to believe what happened today was going to happen. And so I will use these shorter term charts only to understand, where these pushes are, when I'm trading these very short term trading instruments. But by and large, it's a habit that you really shouldn't get into. And if you just focus on the bigger longer term things, you'll see the bigger moves, because I'm looking to take big moves out of the market. Yeah, it just turns out that this was a big move today. And I think we'll get another one. You know, we're going to be pretty close to here tomorrow, if not through there. So John wants a link to the book. So this is my book. It's a pay what you want. So this basically explains everything, you know, I have said in the last 4 days, and it's a pay what you want. So you decide exactly what you want to pay for this, $5, $10, $20, what have you, and you nominate your price there. And I will double. So if you send $20, I will, send $40 on your behalf to the American Childhood Cancer Organization. So whatever you don't donate, I personally double it. And I sent in 34,000. So everything that I get from the royalties from my book sales, I double that amount and send that to the American Childhood Cancer Organization. It's just my way of giving back. And so if you sign up, I'm going to lose money, but I really appreciate, so it's a double thing. You'll get the value of the book, and you'll know that your money is going to a worthy cause. All right, guys, thanks a ton. Dwight, thank you. And hopefully I'll see you guys, soon in the elite program. And if not, somewhere on your respective trading journey. I, anticipate being around. I love trading. This is what I do, and then, having a chat with you and getting to know people all over the world is, is just a secondary gratification. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks a ton for being a long-term supporter and member. All right, guys, be well. Don't get hurt out there. Thanks, Dwight.
All right, Mark, no problem.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.